Hey guys, and welcome back for part 3 of the stereo cabinet build. I wanted to thank everyone for watching the first two videos, so go ahead and sit back, relax, and let's get moving on the project. So I'm going to start using these maple pieces here. These are 3S3, meaning that they are planed on the front and back face and jointed on one side. I did check them. They are already nice and square. That leaves just one rough edge that I can cut off on the table saw. So I'm going to start cutting these to size. I'm going to work on the face frame first to make sure that's nice and flush, and then I can start working on the side frames. I am also going to put a base pieces on the bottom just to help offset it so it doesn't look like one giant solid piece. So go ahead and when building a project like this, I like to wait until assembly before cutting some pieces to final size. Due to the possible movement during assembly or some adjustments that may need to be done, it's always smart to wait to cut these to final size. This way you can make sure that these pieces are the exact length needed. Here I'm setting up to cut the front face frame. Because of the way the side frame is designed on this cabinet, these pieces only needed to be the width of the plywood. To make sure that the maple is cut to the proper width, I'm taking a cutoff from the previous breakdown of the plywood and sticking it between the table saw blade and the table saw fence. What I was looking for was a snug fit between the blade and the fence. I could have used a tape measure or a pair of calipers to achieve the same thing, but since the plywood was a little under ½ inch thick, I figured this might be an easier and quicker method to make sure we're getting an accurate cut. When attaching the face frame, I lined up the pieces with the inside of the cabinet. The reason I didn't line the frame up on the outside of the cabinet is that my palm router won't reach all the way into the corners, and I didn't want to take the chance of gouging the wood on the inside of the cabinet with a chisel. After I got a bead of glue down, I used a couple edge banding clamps to hold the piece in place until I could drive some 18 gauge brad nails into the frame. If you don't have a few of these clamps laying around, I would highly recommend getting some. They can be extremely useful. They have a piece of rubber that goes between the jaws and allows you to apply downward pressure to the wood while it dries. Unfortunately, due to some bowing in one of the plywood pieces, I needed to use a clamp to bring the side of it into the correct spot. I grabbed a parallel clamp and a small spacer block, so I was putting pressure only on the side panel and not on the frame piece. I waited to cut the top and bottom pieces of the face frame until the two sides were attached. This allowed me to get an accurate measurement for both the top and bottom pieces so that a tight fit could be achieved. Last night I was able to get the face frame fully attached to the cabinet. I did leave things proud so I could flush trim them. I'm also going to take a flush trim router bit and route out the excess just to make sure we have a nice clean cut. The inside of the cabinet is flush with the face frame, so we should be good there. So I'm going to work on getting the two uprights cut down a little bit and then take a flush trim bit and my palm router and just route around the outside edge of the cabinet.
When using a router on such a small piece of wood, it is important to keep the router as level as possible. I have a guide which I could have attached for extra support, but it would have been more cumbersome than useful. The second option that you can do is take an extra piece of wood with a flat face and clamp it on the inside of the cabinet. This would expand the footprint that the palm router could sit on. With situations like this, it is best just to take your time and go slower if needed.
So we got the front frame done now. I was able to take the trim router and trim that flush with the edge of the exterior of the cabinet. Now we're going to start working on the sides of the cabinet, which will hide some of the imperfections that are on the side. I took some measurements on the cabinet, realized that one of these maple pieces will be enough to get all of the cross braces out of. So I'm just going to cut one of these up, and then we're going to let the wood relax overnight to allow any stresses or anything to work themselves out before we stick them on the cabinet, so we can avoid trying to have any pop joints or anything. For the sides and the base a couple days ago. I let them sit over the weekend so any internal stresses could be worked out. Everything looks nice and straight. The only thing we need to do is plane these down, take about a 1/16 of an inch off, just because they are a little larger than what the plywood was, so they're going to overhang the base, look a little weird. So we're going to go ahead and plane those down to the size that we need, and then we'll start working on getting them attached.
When I was running the side frame pieces through the planer, I used the spare piece of plywood on top of the planer as a reference for the thickness. After every pass, I would take a second and check the boards against the plywood to see how much more material needed to be removed. It is always better to make more passes with the planer than trying to achieve the final thickness in one pass. You can always remove more material, but it's a lot harder to put it back on.
To make my life a little easier in the future, I'm gonna sand the faces and the sides of these with 180 grit, as well as sand the side of the cabinet. Once these get attached, it's gonna be difficult to sand those. So since they're off and easier to manage right now, I'm gonna go ahead and get these sanded, get the burn marks out, and smooth these out for finish.
After years of woodworking, one of the most important lessons I've learned is how important it is to protect yourself while in the shop, especially when you're sanding. Even though I have my dust collector running, I am also wearing a face mask to help protect my lungs from fine sanding particles. I always recommend wearing a protective mask when you're sanding.
Okay, so we got everything sanded to where it needed to be. We're just gonna start cutting these pieces to size and getting them all lined up.
So apparently I decided to block the video where I attached the other two pieces for the side. So here's a photo of what the finished product looks like on the side. Hey guys, I wanted to thank you for watching the third part of the stereo cabinet build. If you could please subscribe to the channel so I can keep making videos like this, that would be awesome. And if you wouldn't mind taking a minute and liking the video, sharing the video, and even leaving a comment on what you think so far, that would be awesome. Stay tuned for the fourth part, and we'll see you guys next time.